Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to do the meditation. After the meditation we have a Dhamma talk. Right now Venerable Piyaloka is going to lead the meditation.
You all are welcome to the Metta meditation. We are going to practice a little bit of loving kindness meditation. Take a deep breath a few times and let your body and mind to be relaxed. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. Only if you are comfortable, you can keep your eyes closed. Beginning from yourself, you can spread these loving kindness thoughts to the whole universe. You can spread these loving kindness thoughts to your family, friends, and well-wishers. After the guided thoughts, you can start practicing the silent meditation. Check whether you have relaxed forehead muscles, neck and shoulders. Let all these places to relax. Now reflect on these loving kindness thoughts. May my mind be filled with thoughts of loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from ill will. May I be generous. May I be gentle. May I be relaxed. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be healthy. May my heart become soft. May my words be pleasing to others. May my actions be kind. Like this, you can reflect on these loving kindness thoughts about yourself and then spread these loving kindness thoughts to your loved ones. It could be your parents, brothers and sisters, Dharma teachers, friends, and well-wishers. May my beloved parents, teachers, Dharma teachers, relatives, friends, and all those who are indifferent to me be free from enmity, ill will and grudge. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May all beings in the universe be well, happy and peaceful. Now you can start practicing the silent meditation. When you hear the bell, you can stop your meditation.
Thank you, Venerable Panyaloka, leading the meditation. Right now we have time for the Dhamma talk. Today our speaker is Venerable Sanata Vihari. We call it American Mexican monks. Venerable sir, you are mostly welcome to the International Meditation Center for the Dhamma talk today. We have of the temple and the monks and members. You mostly welcome to our temple. So we can start with the Dhamma talk right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhante. So thank you for this opportunity, Bhante, and with your permission and the permission of all the other venerables here, I'd like to give a Dhamma talk, Dhamma Desana, and by paying my respects to the Buddha first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I'm so happy to be here again, here in Koreatown, where I grew up as a small child, and I took the metro, the red line here today, and walking down the street on the way here, seeing the tamales, ladies and pupusas. There's one place that was like 50 people in line waiting for tamales. Like, I got like nostalgia remembering when I was a child here, you know, and my mom dragging me place to place, unwillingly to all this stuff. So beautiful. It's like I'm being transported back in time. So it's always like a homecoming, you know, being here together. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things stay the same. So today I wanted to talk about a little bit about what I've been doing, my focus, my concentration in the last couple of years, which is focusing more on caring for people and serving people, applying the theory of Dhamma into practice and into like one-on-one and intimate settings. In the beginning, I was doing a lot of Dhamma preaching or professing, right? But now I'm getting more into been getting more into the practical applications of everyday life. I didn't think I was gonna do this, you know. When I became a monk, I was very much in it for me. I was thinking, you know, realization, attainments, jhanas, and different levels of awakening, you know, entering the stream and all these things. But it was all for my own well-being. But as a monastic, you know, I got to see a lot of people come to the temple going through a lot more horrible things, you know, that had bigger problems that I had, and then sharing with them what I knew, you know. But I was just reciting what I have read, right? I would say, oh, this sutta says that, this verse says that, this teacher says that. But it would, you know, they could just Google that, you know. They don't need me for that. I was like, why do people come? Like, what is the impact? So I've been working on developing this, right? Developing this topic, this idea that you find over and over and over again in the suttas, which is of the Kalyanamitta, of the spiritual friend. You know, what's interesting is that in early Buddhism, in the suttas, the Buddha himself sees himself as your spiritual friend, as your good friend, as your wholesome friend. Nowadays, you think about the Buddha like a god, almost, right? Like supreme, above everyone. Or we think about the Buddha like a king, the Dharma king, or we think about the Buddha like a unquestionable teacher, right? But the Buddha did have a little bit of all these qualities, but the main one that he emphasized was being your spiritual companion. Right, that's the one, a more kind of parallel and horizontal relationship than hovering over you and don't do this, don't do that, don't kill, don't steal. It doesn't say that, right? It says, I refrain from killing, I refrain from stealing. It's not a order, you know? It's something that you realize for yourself and you do it, well, this is for my well-being and for the well-being of others. Right? So I've been I was looking at Buddha's interactions in the suttas, right? We have the famous case of a grieving mother who's distraught, actually going insane, Kisagotami, right? She's carrying around a dead baby. And she comes to the Buddha, but the Buddha doesn't go, oh, let me teach you about paticca samuppada, avicca, paccaya, sankhara. Like, he doesn't do that, right? Or the Buddha doesn't go, oh, you know what you need a vipassana retreat. Like, go to the mountains and meditate Kisagotami for 10 days in silence and do a vipassana retreat. He doesn't say that, right? But that's the way, those are some of the prescriptions that Buddhism gives nowadays to people, right? You come to the temple or you look online and like, oh, I have some problems. What should I do? I should study like this sutta with paticca samuppada, and I should study satipatthana, or I should go on a retreat and do my self-care, self-healing, self-development. But rarely do you see the Buddha prescribe that. With Angulimala, right, a crazy murderer, he doesn't tell Angulimala to go on retreat. He doesn't tell Angulimala to go study the suttas. Right? He doesn't tell Angulimala to go do a Bodhi Puja, right? Like some offerings. He doesn't say those things. You rarely find the Buddha doing what most Buddhist teachers do nowadays, right? Except for some traditions, right? There's sometimes in some traditions, and even in Theravada we have this, when we do this thing called like interview, or darshan, they call like these kind of one-on-one experiences, right? You see it in Zen sometimes. One-on-one with the teacher, you go to the side, also in pointing out instructions in the Vajrayana tradition, or in some of the more modern Vipassana, sometimes you have interview also with the teacher. It's in those one-on-one moments, right? When you're just talking about what's going on, what's troubling you, what's happening in your life, that I feel that the real Dhamma comes about, the real transformation, when the Dhamma is embodied. When it's not commodified and made into a thing, and here you go do this thing now. Right? Or when you're not preaching to people. You should do this and you shouldn't do that. When you're not giving advice. We have more than enough advice. Your parents give you advice, your loved ones give you advice. Hopefully you're not getting your advice from ChatGPT. There's more than enough advice. You don't need advice. Right? What you need is connection. What you need is trust. What you need is care and compassion. And what you need when you go to someone looking for help is an example. Right? What better motivation, what better hope is there than to see someone who's embodying what you like? That's why, people in business school love meeting all these millionaires and stuff. Why? Because those people embody what that person values. They go looking at rich people, people go looking at celebrities. We all worship what we find worthy. That's what worship means, right? We find worthiness in that. So what better way to heal? What better way to help, to care for people than to embody the teachings? And let your example be the therapy or be the medicine. Because when you don't do that, people don't tend to listen, right? So when our parents would give us advice, we would rarely take it. Why? Well, our parents don't follow it, right? And we point it out right away. Our parents say, you shouldn't do this, and you go, well, Mom, you did that too, We know already, that hypocrisy. But if a person who you value a lot, let's say it's a professor, a rich person, a famous person, or a very nice person, shows you how to reach their level, you're more willing to listen because you go, oh yeah, this person actually is successful. This person is actually famous, or this person is actually a good person. Then you're listening because you have that example. So then I was thinking, well, how do we go about this, right? How do we go about being the Buddha for others? How do we go about embodying the Dhamma? So this is something that I've been experimenting not only as a monastic or as teaching Dhamma school to the kids, or in my training as a marriage family therapist, or in my training as a mindfulness facilitator, or in my training as a Buddhist chaplain, and all these trainings that I've received. I've been looking how to put this together in such a way that it's quite simple and focuses more on the person listening, the caregiver, embodying certain Dhamma qualities, and having those qualities radiate from that person, and having that kind of radiating qualities of Dhamma be like the beautiful red light. You know, they say red light heals and it helps you like with your body. There's like red light therapy. Have it be, the Dhamma be like red light therapy, right? All you have to do is be next in the presence of it and it can help you out. So I was thinking, how can we do this? You know, and then recently, in the last couple months, I was asked to do some assignment for one of my classes about, you know, what are the like fundamental qualities that a Buddhist counselor should embody. So then I thought about like, well, what are the fundamental qualities that the Buddha embodied or that the Dhamma embodies? You know, but I'm a very lazy person, actually, very lazy. I don't like to, you know, do the work to come up with something new. I don't like to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is working fine. Let's keep using wheels. There's no problem. So then I thought about, oh, well, let's look at the Noble Eightfold Path. Right? The Noble Eightfold, it's already there. But how can we articulate it in such a way that it's not boring? Because right now it's like, oh, right view, right intentions, right speech, right actions, right livelihood. And then by the time I get to like right effort, you're already like thinking about, oh, I'm gonna go get coffee after this, and there's that one thing in my wish list in Amazon I'm gonna order once I get back home, you know, because it's like right. You just get kind of bored, you zone out. But luckily enough, a lot of, you know, Buddhist monks in the past have already kind of simplified it. Usually the simplification we get is like Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So Sila is like the precept. Sila literally means like pattern or habit, something that you do again. And Samadhi is tranquility or serenity of mind. Here we're talking about like meditation. And then Panya is the knowledge or wisdom, right? The deeper aspects of reality, experiential knowledge, experiential wisdom. Not only theoretical, although it starts like that. But then I wanted to put those into qualities that a counselor embodies. How can we get these things and, you know, channel them in such a way that could be useful for a person who's listening, whether you're a social worker or a teacher or a therapist or a doctor or just a loving friend or husband or wife. You know, how can we embody these things? So then I thought about, oh, okay, how about first, mindfulness? Because when someone comes to you for help, what are they expecting? Well, that you pay attention at least. Like that's the main thing, right? You have to pay attention. That's the main thing, right? So for the last couple of years, I've been practicing and sharing with others and holding space for deep listening and compassionate communication, inspired from the teachings of the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. And he talks a lot about this. I told you I'm lazy. I don't like to make up new things. I just borrow from other people, integrate things, and make it easier. So then he talks about just paying attention, just listening, right? And it seems like such a simple thing, being mindful, but we know that it's very difficult, right? Trying to be mindful with your loved ones. When you go home with your friends, how many times do you check your phone when you're sitting with them or supposed to be with them? Before it was the television, right, or the radio, if you go even further back. People would have radios on in their house. And, oh, yeah, mom, and just like listening to the radio. Or even further back, maybe you can like a book or newspapers or something else, right? So there's always been distractions that take us away from paying attention. But is that paying attention, right? Being mindful of the person in front of you is not only about what they're saying, but how they're saying it and looking at their body. Right? There's all these like subtle messages that are being sent by people's facial expressions, by the way they sit up or collapsing in themselves, or if they're fidgety, right? Or other things. There's so much that's being communicated. And a way that you can show that you care for someone, that you're paying attention, is by being mindful of all of that, taking all of that in. Right? So I thought, okay, so one of the things that a mindful counselor needs to embody is, a Buddhist counselor needs to embody, or just anyone, a spiritual friend, to bring it back to the Buddha, is to be mindful, to pay attention. Paying attention is so important. You know, in the Satipatthana Sutta, on the Sutta of mindfulness, the Buddha says that we should practice mindfulness internally and externally. So nowadays we think about mindfulness as a very like individualistic, internal kind of practice, right? It's like self-care just for me. Be aware of my body, my feelings, my mind, be aware of the thoughts, right? Or be aware of my environment, what's going on around me. But you're always the center of your mindfulness, right? It's kind of a problem. It's become like a self-centered mindfulness instead of like the Buddhist mindfulness, which is selfless mindfulness. So I think a Buddhist counselor should embody a kind of non-dual mindfulness. Right? The external mindfulness, we need to bring back that, both practicing mindfulness internally, externally. What's practicing mindfulness externally? Well, the Buddha actually talks about in the suttas about being mindful of other people's bodies, and being mindful of other people's feelings, and being mindful of other people's minds, and being mindful of other people's phenomena, thoughts. Dhamma is a very hard word to translate. So it is there. The Buddha does offer that for us, right? Not all of us have psychic powers to be able to read a person's mind, to be mindful of their mind, but their body will tell you, their words will tell you, their eyes will tell you, like you can see what's going on in their mind to some extent by their physical behavior if you pick up on all these like little signals of the body and the tone of their voice. You can see those things. People will tell you what they're thinking too, right? And how their mind is too. So we practice mindfulness internally and externally. Right? That's the other one. And paying attention leads to the next quality that the counselor should have, which is compassion. Here, compassion is together with loving kindness. Loving and kindness, right? Metta and karuna. So, when someone goes to someone for advice, whether it's a mom, a friend, a family member, someone in a professional field, not only are they expecting for the person to listen, but they're expecting that the person cares, right? That you care about their problems. Because if it was just about listening, again, you can just, talk to Siri or whatever, like ChatGPT. It listens. They'll tell you but you want someone who cares. You want that, some tone. There has to be an emotional, affective value or weight to the way in which someone's listening. Right? When I was doing my training as an MFT, they tell you, lean in, or like tilt your head, kind of like squint sometimes, right? Like these little things make the person feel like, like that connection, interested, like you care for them. So there's all these little tricks that help you too, But the thing about practicing these things is then you find yourself actually doing them. They become like part of who you are. Like when I was in the military, they teach you how to walk, how to march, and how to hold your weapon. And then when something happens out of nowhere, in a dangerous situation, you don't have to think. You just follow that. So you train all these things, and they become second nature too, and to show people how you care. Because I might be caring, but they don't know. I have to show them that I actually care. One way is by paying attention, but then also by making all these little subtle body gestures to let them know that I am paying attention, right? That I am listening to you, that I do care about what you're saying. So this quality of compassion, of paying attention and showing the person that you care, right? Being interested in them. And one way that you can show someone that you're interested in them is by following up on what they said, like, right? Tell them, tell me more about that. How was that for you? Asking questions, right? Asking questions is a great way to show people that you care, because it shows that you're paying attention. It shows that you're interested in them, right? Some simple things that we can do. It shows that there's a connection. It's not just one person talking. It's not a monologue, right? It's not someone just telling all their problems to you and you're just a passive observer. No, there needs to be a sense of connection. So the second quality is this one of compassion. And the Buddha was also the one who embodied this to the highest level. There's a special quality of the Buddha called Mahakaruna Samapatti, the completion, the attainment of great compassion. So after the Buddha would wake up in the morning, he'd meditate. And after he would meditate, he would use his special ability to look into the world and see, who can I help today? Right? Who can I serve the best? And he would go to help those people. And that's how he ended up helping Angulimala and other people. Right? So the Buddha was the first thing, that he would do when he would come out and come into the world was to work for the benefit of other beings, to serve others, to care for others. There's a beautiful sutta, and it's in the monk's rules when the Buddha talks about how monks should conduct themselves. And he says when a monk, wakes up in the morning, and after he does his meditation and washes his face, instead of focusing on what he would like to do that day, where he would like to go, he thinks, I wonder what these other venerables would like to do today. I wonder where they would like to go. right? And then he does what those venerables want to do together. And then those other venerables also think, what would that venerable like to do? And they ask him, what would you like to do, venerable? Right? And they go ahead and they all kind of come together and do what they all want to do together. They make a decision together as a community. It's just thinking what I want. He says they also practice thoughts of loving kindness, words of loving kindness, and bodily actions of loving kindness. In public, which we're all pretty good at, right? Oh, yes, hello, how are you? Oh, very good. Oh, how can I help you today? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And in private, right? When you're at home, maybe by yourself, you go, oh, that dumb person, you know? Like, why do they keep dating that person? Like, it's such a dumb thing to do. And you start criticizing them, right? No, also in private, you're thinking, oh, you know, hopefully they can understand. And I hope things maybe somehow work out for them. Or if they don't work out, maybe they can find themselves in a better situation instead of like being critical and judgmental and negative about what's going on, right? So both loving kindness, thoughts, words, and actions of loving kindness in public and in private, right? This is the other quality. And I'm kind of running out of time, but I'll get to the last one quickly, which is the ultimate level of what the Buddhist counselor or just spiritual friend should embody, which is the deeper teachings of the Dhamma. Selflessness or emptiness, of non-self. So here the Buddhist counselor not only gives kind of like mundane help to alleviate your symptoms or to make you feel good or to give you hope or these kind of things that we usually need just to keep surviving and to live our lives. But the Buddhist counselor invites you to think beyond your current situation, to think beyond your human life, to think beyond this world and the material aspects in your own psychology, to have sort of like to add a transcendent value to your life. And this is usually what the Buddhist counselor then invites you to reflect on things like the impermanent nature of all things, the instability, how everything's conditioned. Then nothing lasts. And then they also invite you to understand the unsatisfactory nature of reality. That there isn't, you know, some person in the world that's going to make you ultimately happy forever. Right? You're not going to find it in, even if you were to date some Victoria's Secret model or Brad Pitt or, you know, some multi-millionaire, even then, you're not going to find that happiness that you're looking for. Even if you were to be, you know, the richest person in the world, you wouldn't find that happiness. Even if you were to be immortal, you wouldn't, because everything that you love is going to die, even if you live forever. Right? To see the unsatisfactory nature of reality. And to see that there is no real core, no permanent self in oneself, right? To stop grasping at your body, stop grasping at your feelings, grasping at your perceptions, grasping at your thoughts and your intentions. Having this fixed, reified identity, who you think you are, to understand that you're more of a process, a dynamic process. Because for people who are in a lot of pain, you know, we tend to identify with what state we're in. Right? If you're feeling very sad, if you're depressed, oh, I'm a miserable person, I'm a hopeless person, I'm broken. You know how many times people have come to me when they're feeling some symptoms of depression and tell me, Bhante, I don't think you've ever had a person like me come to you. Almost every person thinks that. They think they're the only person like that in the world. That they are broken. There's something fundamentally wrong, unlike everyone else. I know other people have depression, but my depression is the worst one. Because they so much identified with it, right? Or people who have a troubled past, who've done a lot of bad things, crimes, drugs. They come like that, oh, Bhante, I know you've met a lot of bad people, but I'm the worst one you've ever met. You know, like, we over-identify with whatever we're with. And this teaching of non-self, right? There is no real identity there. Helps them let go of that. But we don't start off with that, right? You don't push someone into the deep end of the pool. You start off by paying attention. Oh, listening to them, showing that you're listening to them, caring for them, serving them, right? Letting them know that you care for them, you know? And then after that trust is built, after that relationship is built, after we have a fertile field, some good soil, then we start planting the seeds of Dhamma, right? Planting the little seeds. But you know, not all seeds give you harvest, right? Not all of them are going to flourish. So together with his wisdom, part of wisdom is patience. And that's the hardest practice. I'll finish with that. The Buddha said, Kanti paramam tapotitika. Right? Patience is the supreme austerity or asceticism in the world. Patience and forbearance, right? The supreme. Sometimes when we think about asceticism or austerities, we think about yogis like not laying down and sitting or standing on one leg or keeping their arm up or laying on spikes or hitting their backs and cutting themselves up, doing all these things. The Buddha said, no. I mean, those are hard, but the hardest thing is to be patient. So also, as part of the wisdom part, is for the counselor, the good friend, to be patient. Right? Even though your friend keeps going back to that same person, you have to be patient with them. Right? Even though your child keeps making the same mistake, right? You caught them with marijuana once, twice, whatever, ecstasy, you got to be patient with them. Even though the person's been to jail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you got to be patient with them. You know? And if that's yourself, you have to be patient with yourself. Right? That's the part of the wisdom, which is the hardest part. So yes, hopefully I have some time for some questions now. Now, I think we do. We have a few minutes for questions. So now I'd like to open it up. So just to remind you, it's mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom is how we become not only a good counselor, but a good friend fundamentally, and how we get to embody the teachings of the Buddha and be that Buddha for other people, be that example, even if it's just in a limited capacity. Yes. So if you have questions, you can ask. Yes.
I'm sorry, pardon me, everybody. I'm so excited by your talk. And I do think you have abilities to read minds, because I think your whole talk was every thought I had last week. Very appreciative of that. And we're at a time where the people are hurting, everybody's in the meat grinder, they all want relief. And the message that's out there is nothing is your fault, and you can take a pill, or you can buy ceremonies, or you can go see somebody really powerful, and your life can magically change. And I really, really applaud your decision to demonstrate that this can be done through demonstration. Many people don't get it intellectually, and in fact, you can't really think your way into a better life. And so we practice these principles. This is what I love about your talk. Since nothing's my fault, and there's pills and things, and why am I practicing stuff? I should have some magical transformation in my life. The people are distanced from the concept that your life can be immeasurably improved by accepting responsibility for your life and practicing these principles. I'm so thrilled with your talk today. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Yes.
Thank you for your talk on it. I wanted to know if have you ever met someone that treated you with mindfulness and showed you that respect and that connection, and if so, how did that make you feel?
I think in that sense, I was very fortunate. I can think of a lot of people, you know, not like at the level of the Buddha or of an arahant like that, but just good enough mindfulness, good enough compassion, good enough wisdom in my life, you know. I remember being a child and like my mom paying a lot of attention to me, my older brother, some of my teachers in school too, some very influential teachers, my 3rd grade, 4th grade teacher, my science teacher in middle school, my English teacher and my Army ROTC teachers in high school. I've been very fortunate, you know, at least to have people that are attentive and caring. Maybe they don't have the wisdom, you know, but it feels so good. You know, it feels good to be seen. It feels good to be validated. You know, especially when you're young, like you don't know what's going on. You're so conflicted. You're always judging yourself. You feel like everyone's looking at you, and for someone to just be there and be like, it's okay. You know, it's all right. Even though you've made mistakes, they're like, that's fine, you're young. That's what you do when you're young, you make mistakes. It just is so healing, you know? And thanks to those experiences, I think I was able to avoid a lot of the these other things like the gentleman was talking about that society offers us as like quick solutions, or to like bypass problems, or to gaslight us or whatever, you know. I was able to avoid it because there was people in my life that had mindfulness and compassion. And that at that time was good enough for me. But then as a monk, there's definitely a few monks that I can think of. And I think each one kind of encompasses different parts. I'm thinking of one monk who really encompasses like the compassion part. And I see it like full bloom, like, oh wow, this is how I could be. If I had a lot of like loving kindness and compassion and all the Brahma Viharas, I would be like that monk. And it's so inspiring, right? And I try. And it motivates me to be like him. I know other monks that are very serene and super mindful, and everything that happens, they notice the smallest detail in the temple, right? Or the smallest thing that you say, like, they remember too, they recall it. Oh, last time, like 6 months ago, you said this, wow, it feels so good. You know, I don't even remember that I said that, you know? It's amazing. And there's some that have that level of wisdom, you know? I don't think as of yet I've met anyone who supremely or ultimately perfectly embodies all of them, but I do find these qualities in different people and in different monks. And I think when I just get that little taste, you know, all I need is that little taste. It's inspiring and it's healing, and it's very validating to see that. So yes, but I will say that it's rare. It is rare. I understand that it's rare in the world, and how fortunate I am just to have even those few little experiences. It's not something that's common in the world. Oh, okay. Whoever wants to go first.
Thank you for your talk. Very enlightening.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have, you mentioned at the beginning about helping others,
Mm-hmm.
right? Helping others. So my question is there a right time to help others when you can, you cannot? So for example, adopting a child, if I'm not ready to adopt a child, and I have no patience, giving money to charity. I don't have money, but maybe one day I will, but right now I don't. Or a homeless person, this is the last $5 I have. I want to help them, but right now it's not the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So is there ever a right time or not a right time, or should we just do it?
Yeah, so the Buddha does talk about this. There's a teaching where the Buddha talks about like when to give advice or when to talk. The first thing is that whatever we're going to say or do has to be in line with truth. It has to be truthful. And it needs to be honest. A second thing is that it needs to be beneficial. It has to be for their well-being, right? Because you might be very kind of like rudely truthful about things, right? About people's shortcomings and problems. It's not really for their benefit. You're like, well, this is just a fact, accept it. Like, it's not beneficial. It's not going to help them. And that leads to the other thing, that it needs to be compassionate, right? So we do actually has to be both truthful, beneficial for them. It has to come from compassion, not like fake or forced. It has to be from your own intentions. The other one is that it has to be done gently. So you have to say it or physically do it very softly and gently, right? Like, I'm going to save you. I'm going to help you. Get out of here. No, leave me alone. I don't want your help. I don't want your help. Leave me alone. I don't want to feel forced into getting better. And the other one has to be timely, right? So the Buddha does talk about proper time for things. And it's difficult to discern when it's the right time. Sometimes, because we are so impacted by other people's misfortune and pain, that the sense of urgency is really just a reaction to our own pain. So we think now is the time. Yes, for you, but not for that other person, right? It's the time for you to heal yourself because you're being overwhelmed by that other person's situation. But it may not be the right time for them. And there's where we need to be more mindful, be more compassionate, and have more wisdom, more discernment. My approach to caring for people, to helping people, to serving people, has always been availability. I don't make an attempt to go out there in the world. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to help people. I'm going to save them. People need Buddha in their life. No. I let people know that I'm there for them whenever they need me. So I'm more kind of like, I do like a emergency, like firearm, kind of like it's there. Hopefully you never need it, but it's there if you need it, right? So there's people in my life that I care about, and I know they're not ready to better themselves or change in any way. But I constantly remind them when I, like, hey, if you ever need help, if you ever want someone just to be with you, someone to listen, I care about you, and I'm there. Whenever, you can call me anytime, send me a message, I'm there. So that time when they do have a little escape or break from their delusion or pain and suffering, and they see clearly, they'll be like, that person. And now they want to, right? And I learned this, actually, I told you I'm very lazy, from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? It doesn't come into the person themselves acknowledges that they have a problem and that they want to change. Until they understand themselves that they have a problem and that they want to change, there's nothing we can really do for them, right? We need to wait, and there's where the patience comes, the wisdom of patience, to wait for them. So these are some of the ways that I manage how to help people. How, when, with what. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for your talk. Can you say a little bit more about the external mindfulness? Like what sutta it's in? And I'm curious about the external mindfulness too, because when I think of like my understanding, like internal mindfulness, right? You notice phenomena arise, persist, and go away, and that's kind of like, and then your mindfulness is there to help you let go, like not get attached to what's happening. What is the parallel version of that, I guess, if there is, with external mindfulness? Like just trying to understand more, like if I'm going to try to practice more external mindfulness, what do I do and how do I know I'm doing it right?
Yes, you're correct. That type of mindfulness is the deep end of the pool, right? That's like the ultimate goal, which is called like anicca sanya, the perception of impermanence, which leads to the perception of unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, perception of non-self. So that's the ultimate goal. That way we get knowledge, jnana, and vimutti, liberation. The type of mindfulness I'm talking about is still in the beginning. We're just working on basically the first 3 steps, which is sati, Dhamma vichaya, and vidya, which are the first 3 factors of the 7 factors of awakening, the satabojjhanga, right? So first we're just working on being able to keep our attention, keep our mind on the body, on feelings, on our mind, and our phenomena, right? So just work on keeping your attention on the person, right? Like work on keeping on the sights, on the sounds, hopefully pleasant smells, not unpleasant smells from the person, right? Or there's even like a feel, right? When you're talking to someone, you feel a certain way in your body. Be aware of that. And then comes the next step beyond mindfulness, which is, I think, the next step we need to do. Here's where the ethical or religious or spiritual tone that they've been trying to keep away from secular mindfulness comes in, which is Dhamma vichaya, which means discernment between what is wholesome and unwholesome, kusala, kusala. So mindfulness is not just neutral, right? Mindfulness has a moral, ethical, spiritual dimension to it that has been taken out to bring to the West. But so we have to see in ourselves, right? Whatever arises, is this for my benefit or not? Is it for the benefit of others or not? Right? So if you're a counselor and you're listening to your friend, you need to have that discernment. You don't want to judge them or criticize them, but you need to know if what they're doing or saying is wholesome or unwholesome. You should know that, right? You need to have that wisdom, right? And then vidya is the effort or the energy, or I like to call it heroism, to keep this process going. Because it's not easy to stay mindful. It's easy to give up. It's not easy to be with others and see what's going on with them and being able to see if it's good or bad. So we need that heroic energy to keep it going, right? So this is what I'm talking about when we're in this kind of working with others. But in the Satipatthana Sutta, it talks about mindfulness internally, externally. If you look at the Satipatthana in the Samyutta Nikaya, where there's a bunch of suttas of the Satipatthana and how to develop Satipatthana and the 7 factors of awakening, the Buddha talks about being also like watching one's own body and others. But if you want a shortcut, because maybe you're lazy like me, read Bhante Analayo's book Satipatthana, the first one that he wrote on Satipatthana, and in one of the middle chapters in there, he talks about this a little bit. Yes?
I guess I noticed within myself that I have lots of compassion for a lot of people. But I don't know why. But I like it myself.
Mm.
What is like a day-to-day suggestion?
So I think you were here when I was talking about my time in the military and the training I did as a therapist. So how do we learn to care for ourselves, to value ourselves? And we do that by practicing it, right? So here is where we can kind of use one modern trend today that's been misused. We can use self-care, right? You can start doing things for yourself. Right? Things that you would naturally do for others, you begin to do for yourself. Even if in the beginning you feel like a hypocrite, even if it doesn't feel true, even if you question yourself, start caring for yourself. Do for yourself what you would do for others. And over a period of time, it becomes a habit. It becomes a new pattern, a new disposition, a new inclination. And you'll start seeing yourself caring for yourself more. But it's just about practicing it. That's the only way we can learn to care for ourselves is by caring for ourselves.
Sometimes it just feels like there's no time.
You're important. You're just as important as anything else in the world. So whenever something comes up, oh, that's too important, I can't leave it for later. You're just as important as anything else. Yeah, but then, okay.
Thank you, and we don't have much more time right now. We're going to chant the page 4 and page 10. Yeah, chant through. Namo Tassa Bhagavato
Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Saranam Gacchami Dhammam Saranam Gacchami Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Beings are numberless. I vow to stay them all. Huge questions are exhaustive. I vow to them all. Dhamma is limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and fearlessly may they reach all grief and the safe find of peace.
thank you very much again about your wonderful Dhamma talk. Hope to see you next year sometime probably April or May because I was talking with him earlier. He's going to Sri Lanka next month. So 1 month or 2 months. He might visit my temple also. He asked me to visit my temple 1 week. I said yes. So he's going to the study at University of California, my temple. So hope to see you in Sri Lanka over here sometime next year. And we wish you for all the good luck, good health to practice your Dhamma for everywhere around the world. It's very famous monk, not only America, around the world right now. Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Italy, Spain, Mexico, everywhere. So we are very happy to see Bande and thank you again for your Dhamma talk. So thank you everybody again for being with us here today. We have tea and cookies and we have one announcement. Next Sunday, which is Sunday 28, Subodha is going to give Dhamma talk. And we are planning to do the first Sunday of the January for the blessing for everybody here. I believe January 6, 7 around that time, I'm not sure. So please comment with us again. Thank you again for everybody. By the power of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And I forget something about Venerable Sumana is here. Time to time he's coming here. I don't know why. So anyway, he used to live here many years, 7, 8 years. And I mentioned when I'm not here, please come and join Sunday. I think he's come maybe 1 or 2 times once I'm not here. He's going to Sri Lanka also, I think next week, to take care of temples. So we wish him also good luck, good health also. Thank you again. And we have tea and cookies, yes now?
Yes.
Thank you.